Hi creatives. What if your next project, your next creative piece of work is already inside of you and it's waiting to come out? Hi, I'm Riley and I'm a creative coach whose mission is to inspire and connect and help creatives to find a space in their day, in their week, in their life, amongst family and work obligations, amongst all the adulting and the wonderful things that we get to do, to find space for creativity, to find space for your art to come into existence. And I'd love to help you with that. I've come out into nature. Today I'm in County Wicklow in Ireland, and I've gone to a lovely woodland called Devil's Glen, and on it there's this walk where they have all these seats, and they're in memory of Seamus Heaney, one of Ireland's great writers. And on each of them there's a poem or there's an inscription, and often they're referring to being out in nature and being surrounded by trees, the sound of water. I just think it's a wonderful space to come to rekindle that connection to the muse, to take time to listen for that still small voice that speaks of our art and our creativity. So I've come here today and I just want to unpack a few things. One thing I'd really like to say is it's December of 2024, and for the rest of this month I am offering free creative strategy calls for an hour. You can book in for me. There'll be a link in the description and a link in the comments. You can book in and spend some time. My time is finite, so there are not hundreds of these sessions, so act quick, but also there's a slight process to go through just to apply and get into it. And all I ask is that you'd give me your email address and that you'd let me kind of send you details of my launch later on. It's not a sales call. I'm not trying to sell anything. It is a free session. That'll be on a remote call, and I'd love to get together and hear what you've got to say, hear what you're working on, and hear what you're moving forward to, and maybe even start a plan for 2025 to help you start working through your creative goals. When I'm tired, I just struggle to find the energy and the motivation to then turn on the creative tap and wonder if anything is going to come flowing out. So the first thing that I'd really recommend you do is rest, is let yourself off the hook to take some space for yourself. And if that means turning off Netflix an hour earlier and getting into bed and having a little read and getting to a good night's sleep, please do that. I find it amazingly helpful, particularly now as the days are getting shorter, and certainly here in Ireland it's getting dark at around 4 o'clock and the sun's going down about 4:05. It's crazy early, and the sun's only coming up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, so there's this big long dark night here, and I just find myself wanting to go to bed earlier. But the benefit that I find of getting into bed early and having a good night's sleep is that I wake up slightly earlier than normal, usually before my alarm, and then I'm up. And for me, I love to get out a notebook and start to journal and to start to think through my process for the day, and to then to start putting some energy into the things that I want to focus on. And if I can encourage you to take some space for rest. You know yourself. You know how you restore best. Is that a walk in the park? Is it time on the couch? Is it snuggling under a duvet with your pets or your loved ones? Is it getting to bed early? Is it getting up late? Whatever that looks like for you, I can't recommend it high enough. Like, honestly, my wife will tell you I am the king of naps. So if I find myself kind of failing and running out of energy during the day, I will set an alarm on my watch and I will stop for 15 or 20 minutes and go and close my eyes and wake up super refreshed. And the second thing I really want to talk about is energy management versus time management. One thing that I've discovered, I think possibly since we all kind of went into lockdown and had to navigate 2020, was that I'm much more limited by the amount of energy that I have in a day. And if I can do things to help restore that energy or preserve that energy, then it's really helpful for me to be able to continue working through the day and do good work, to then have energy left for my family and putting into my creativity. And it's not how many meetings I can get through in a day, and it's not how many hours I sit down in front of my computer working. It's how that energy has been used up. I'm doing a really boring, repetitive task and I'm just finding it draining. I'm pulling what little hair out that I have and just having to do the same thing again and again and again. I just find really just drains me, I need to focus on where my energy goes. And for me to restore things, that would include like getting out for a walk, taking time to have coffee, and not coffee in front of my desk and not lunch at my desk while I'm trying to work, but actually stepping away and, leaving my phone down, stepping away from the screens and actually taking time to restore myself with food and water and company of my loved ones, and then to be able to come back to it. So there are so many ways to incorporate that. I mean, it can be anything from breathing exercises to meditation, maybe some yoga, light stretching, like a full-on workout at the gym, whatever you find that gives you like a real sense of energy and purpose and drive. Factor that into your days. Factor that into charging yourself up as if you're going to recharge your battery before you're going to be able to open that tap and let the creativity out. My experience is that the creative is this very small voice, not a literal voice talking in my ear, but it's a very small prodding, a gut feeling and an intuition. And it's not always clear and it's not always straightforward. And I think in our world full of noise, it's really easy to miss it. If we're constantly busy with notifications and updates and Zoom meetings, and there's constant noise in our environment and it's constantly busy, we're running from one thing to the next, there's very little time to stop and wait or listen or anticipate or be ready for that input. And that's one of the reasons why I'm out here in the woods today, because I just wanted to say to get out of your space, to take a moment to reflect and to listen, to breathe in the fresh air, to walk in the daylight. And I'm sure you know places near you or places you can travel to that's restorative for you. It's another way of restoring your energy, but it's also a way of stepping out of our normal lives and finding a place where we can reconnect. I think nature is the perfect place because there's so much to see and there's an infinite variety of colors and textures of light. And here in this forest, they've been working on restoring it and cutting it down, so it's looking a little bare. But you know what? That's part of the seasonality. That's part of the process. And as the seasons change, I also think that there's different ways in which we interact and connect and understand those things. So that's still that small voice, that little sound, whatever that experience is for you around creativity. But I also think it's a practice. I think we need to do it regularly. I think we need to seek it out. Personally, I find when I'm writing, when I'm journaling, I get thoughts start to weave together. Different components of things that I've been thinking start to merge together and flow into one, and they create something new. And that's, for me, that's the process of creativity, is taking different ideas and different thoughts and being able to push them together. And I really think that's what our world needs at the moment. It needs more creativity, it needs more input, and it needs more people thinking creatively about the problems and coming up with different solutions. Sitting here, my brain is picking up all of the data of the world through my 5 senses. But that's not even how that creativity or that muse or that voice comes to us. It's something subtle. It's something that we can't measure, we can't tap into. Scientists haven't figured out a tool to hear it and put a name on it or put it on a graph. And I think whatever your experience of it, it's fleeting and it's vapid. It's like smoke that just disappears in the wind, and we need to make space and to honor it. And like, I think it's really important for us to be able to take time to listen to that. I think it's important. And in the same way, we need to take time for practicing our art. I can get so busy with all the tasks of being a dad, running a business, kind of looking after our house. We really need to fight to hold on to space. And like, if there's a way that you can navigate that, put it in the diary, discuss it with your family and tell them why it's important. Help people to understand that there's, a small piece of time that you need for you. And honestly, if you look at the screen time on your phone and you look at the amount of time you're spent in front of a screen, I'm sure you can squeeze that somehow and shave off a little bit for you. And I don't know about you, but I feel fantastic when I've actually had that time to sit down and do something meaningful. And it doesn't always happen the first time. For me, there's always a bit of administration and how am I going to put my studio together, or how am I going to organize things. And it doesn't feel very creative, but I know once that's together and once I can start getting ideas, then things will start to flow and connect, and we can move in a direction that is towards outputting something beautiful. Sometimes we can just get overwhelmed with the demands of the world, the internal struggles, the pressure to deliver and to show up. And that can be a lot. And I think a lot of us creatives are sensitive, and we take these things really personally, and it cuts really deep when things aren't going our way. And I think we also need to make sure that we're okay, make sure that we're safe, make sure that we're being looked after. I think we need to surround ourselves with people who will honor that and will respect that and will understand us when we say, hey, I don't have capacity for something today, and that we can be real and transparent with those people. Not everyone's going to understand, and certainly if you're trying to operate in the corporate space and there's huge demands being placed on you, and you're delivering big projects and working connected with big teams, it can be tough to navigate that and have space then for all of the rest of life. Be kind to yourself and take whatever steps you can to get help, whether that's with somebody who you can speak to in a therapeutic manner, whether it's something you can discuss with people who love and support you, whatever you can do to just support yourself, build a foundation, figure out the ways to deal with it, to ways to be able to say no, ways to be able to kind of time box certain things, ways to be able to space things out, whatever that takes. Be kind to yourself, because when we're in that state of overwhelm, again, we turn on that creative tap and for me, nothing comes out. The only way to fill up that tank is to make sure that we're looking after ourselves, that we're healthy, that we're well, that we're taking care of all the important pieces, our mental health, our well-being, what we're eating, exercising, what we're drinking. I mentioned meditation and mindfulness because I do think it's important for us to be able to declutter our brains, just like we would want to declutter our desk or our studio space to be able to get to work. And it's hard to work when there's lots of things going on. So for me, I love meditation. I regularly use the Insight Timer app to kind of set a specific time to create some space. There's great meditations on there. There's loads of meditations on YouTube. People will be able to talk you through specific ways of thinking and processing. And if that's something you'd like me to delve into, like put a note in the comments. That's something I'm happy to talk about more. I have taught meditation in the past and happy to take you through a creative meditation if that's something that anyone's interested in. There are loads of tools out there, and when we start to use those tools, we can get past that initial clutter and the busyness of our brains and start to connect on a deeper level. We can get past what people often refer to as the monkey mind, where we're jumping around between different topics, and start to get into a deeper connectedness, where we can start to see those threads and streams coming together, and maybe start to find a way to start linking them up and knitting them into something beautiful, some sort of tapestry of creativity. If you're inspired by other art forms, make time to feed yourself on those. For me, it's listening to great music. I have a record player and I love putting music on and making myself a cup of coffee or pour myself a glass of wine and just enjoying the sound in the space, or going to a gig. I love walking around art galleries with my wife, who's an artist, and just taking it in and hearing her perspective on it, and discussing like what it means to me, and those things can be different, and our interpretation of all works of art is deeply personal. I love watching great movies, and particularly really interesting kind of TV series that take you on a journey and take you out of your normal life. And I find that is like a great way to start inspiring some creativity and some new ideas. And whatever that is for you, that's reading, poetry, dance, music, whatever way you get inspiration from other artists, take time to do that. Make time in your diary, in your calendar. It doesn't have to take up an awful lot of time, but it's a great way to start feeding yourself the sort of food that you're telling your soul and your creative being that this is what I want. This is where I want to be. I don't want the fast food of TikTok. I want the deep, healing, restorative, creative food that's going to inspire me to produce beautiful things and be ready to ignite into my next idea and project. It's now midday and I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm starting to get a bit cold and I'm going to pack my gear up and head back to the car. Thanks for joining me today. And again, if you'd like to jump on a call with me and work through some creative strategies to help you to move forward, there's a link in the description. And in December, this is going to be free. And it's not a sales call, I promise. I'd just love to kind of hear some of your pain points, help you figure out a strategy to move forward and have a plan either for what you're going to get done over the Christmas holidays or how are you going to step into 2025 ready for being creative and producing in a way that's going to move you forward. Until the next video, I'll see you soon. You take care. Bye.